What's up, Niner Faithful? Johnny Dell back one more time with another episode of 49ers Playbook, the channel where we're going to try and answer the whys and hows of the game. We're going to continue our series looking back at Week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers and breaking down exactly how the pass defense was able to be so effective in this game. We're going to look at a number of plays here, and I just want to highlight this play because, we all remember the defense that we ran under Vic Fangio, how effective it was, how great it was, and we all kind of, probably wish we could go back to that defense and have a performance like we do out of that one. Well, there was a number of times in this game where I saw us play a defense that really was reminiscent of what Vic Fangio ran, and we're going to just talk about that a little bit here. So we'll jump into some stills here and just look at what exactly we did that was so much like Fangio. So we're going to come out and we're going to show a single high safety. And this is going to give a look of cover 3. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to drop into what's called a cover 6, where you're going to have quarters on one side of the field and then a cover 2 on the other side. So you have cover 4 plus cover 2. So that's where you get cover 6 is 2 plus 4. And so it's a version of 3 deep, but this is what it looks like. You end up having this safety is in quarters. Richard Sherman is going to drop in quarters. We're going to drop a safety into a cover 2 half field zone. We're going to drop back here. We're going to bring our linebacker who's sugared up in the A gap. We're going to drop him into coverage, and K'Waun Williams is going to be in a hook curl zone. And so what this ends up doing is we give one pre-snap look where we're showing single high safety, and we drop into a 2 high safety look where we actually have a little bit better coverage over the middle of the field. The advantage of cover 6 versus cover 2 is that your quarter safety on this side is going to be shaded more towards the middle of the field, and so it helps protect the middle of the field more. You don't get as much underneath coverage, but you do get better coverage down the middle of the field. And so this is one thing Fangio used to do all the time. The difference was Fangio would come out and he would have 4 guys in a quarters look, 4 guys in an off coverage. The other safety would already be back here, and the other corner would be back here. And you never knew which safety was going to come down into the box and be a play side box defender. So this is one way. Again, it's achieving the same goal where you're not showing pre-snap who's going to be playing exactly where, and so it causes the quarterback to have to take a half second longer to actually figure out what exactly the defense is going to be playing. So we'll clear that off and then show what the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers were trying to do on this play. It's 3rd and 5 to note for that, and what they're going to do is that they're just going to run out here. They're going to run a deep smash concept. These 2 receivers were going to have a short speed out and then a deep corner route. And then on the other side, what they're going to do is run a wide receiver drive concept. If you play Madden, this is one of my favorite concepts to use in Madden. The 49ers playbook usually has a number of drives in here. But the drive concept is what you have as a shallow cross from a wide receiver or tight end. Generally in a West Coast offense, if the play is going to be called, Z drive, X drive, Y drive, they're going to just name the player that will be running the shallow cross. So this would be a wide receiver drive. And technically this would be the X drive, as your X is usually by your Y, which is the tight end. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the weeds a little bit, but then your tight end is going to come up and run an in route. So this creates a vertical stretch of the defense. Usually it's the weak side or will backer is the key read on that. If he jumps on the drive, you throw it to the deep end. If he drops on the deep end, you throw it to the drive. So that's how this play goes. But here, Mason Rudolph, thinking he's going to see cover 3, is going to pull off of the drive concept and look to get a quick out because he thinks by being cover 3 that he's got a favorable matchup. Now he's not technically really wrong. The responsibilities here between Sherman and K'Waun Williams, between a cover 6 and a cover 3, are pretty similar. But we're also going to see now the trust that Richard Sherman has in his pass rush is going to help how he plays this play. So we'll clear those off and take a look at this play. So as he drops back, he's going to see the coverage. He's really reading K1 Williams because he's going to look for, if he drops down, then he knows this receiver might have a hot route to cut out, but he sees that the inside receiver occupies the hook curl defender, and so he thinks he's got a quick out here with Richard Sherman playing backed off coverage. But Sherm here, as he drops back, he gives himself enough of a cushion where he never feels threatened vertically, and he's just going to read the quarterback. His eyes really are not on anybody but Mason Rudolph, and so he's just going to watch the quarterback. And the moment the quarterback's shoulders turn and he goes into his throwing motion, he's going to plant and drive. He's going to drive on this route, and so he's able to meet the receiver at the point of the catch at the same time the receiver is. And the receiver's going to try and come back to the ball, but his presence ends up creating enough disruption here in the route that it stops it, and they have a failed third down conversion. So this is where Richard Sherman is trusting that he's going to be able to sit here a little bit more flat-footed and not have to bail out to try and chase a route across the field. He knows he's able to sit on the route a little bit more because if anything is going to be going deep, he trusts that his defensive line is going to get there. So let's watch it in real time. That's just team defense right there. So let's watch it from the end zone real quick, and you'll be able to see. I want to point out D Ford here again. Talked about him. He's right over here turning speed into power. Watch him put the right tackle on skates here. It's pretty good. And that's part of what speeds up the throw. So we'll keep moving on here. So this is another third down that we held in the game. This is a 3rd and 10. And this was a play that, is one of those, it's not really considered a sack, but it's close enough because Mason Rudolph only got 1 yard. So let's take a look at this play and what happened here. So in this play, it's going to be similar. We start out with a 2 safety look as they motion a wide receiver inside. We're going to show a single safety, and what we're end up going to do is we're going to drop into just a cover 2 man. So what that is you have 2 safeties playing zone over the top, and then everybody else is just in man coverage. So we're going to be lined up like this. Everyone's going to be just in man coverage, and 4 rushers. This is D Ford. He's lined up over a guard, so that's to give a favorable pass rush matchup there. And so this is just going to be, like I said, two deep defenders over the top, and then everybody else in man coverage. We'll clear that off and then talk about what Pittsburgh is going to try and do here. Pittsburgh is going to run on this side. They're going to run a variation on a flood concept. They're going to try and do a little stutter and go on Richard Sherman in case it's man coverage. Then the rest of their players are going to run. This guy's going to run an out route, a deep out. They're going to have a drag across the middle. On this side, they're going to run a deep comeback, and then the running back out into the flat. What they're doing is these are cover 3 busters, so they're going to look to occupy on this side of its cover 3 zone. They're going to occupy the curl flat defender and try and hit a comeback route in front of the deep 3rd corner. On this route, the vertical will clear out the deep 3rd corner on that side, occupy the curl flat defender with a drag route coming across the middle to occupy his attention, and then look to hit the intermediate out. So this is, again, they're expecting cover 3 zone, and this was a good job of Robert Saleh here mixing up our coverages and our players disguising them throughout the pre-snap motion so that we never give away exactly what we're doing here because, like I said, they're trying to bust cover 3 here, and we're going to be in cover 2 man. So we can see how this plays out. So we'll jump back into the film here, and one thing we'll watch at the beginning is Richard Sherman on this little sort of double move they try and give with a stutter and go. So from the snap, you see here's one way you can always tell man coverage versus zone coverage. If a corner turns his hips outside, he's going to be in man coverage. What he's doing is he's using the sideline as a help defender, so he's going to take away anything from the inside. When you see corners do that, they're not playing zone, because zones, you have to be aware of what's coming into your zone. If you turn your head away from there, you can't be aware of that. So again, he's not playing zone here. Keller Witherspoon does a good job of funneling this receiver to his help. Again, I talked about in a previous video of players understanding where their help's coming from and funneling your receiver towards your help. You maintain leverage where you don't have help. So he's gonna funnel this towards the inside. Again, Richard Sherman here knows that his safety is going to be helping on a little bit more in the middle, and we kind of put him on an island here because watch the way we play this as it goes. Here's the little stutter. He's going to slow down. Rudolph has a little pump fake. Sherman never bites on it. This safety never even looks to help on him. He's looking to help the inside receiver. So this is a lot of trust we have in Richard Sherman to take this guy one-on-one with no safety help, basically. That allows us to put safety help somewhere else. So here, K'Waun Williams, again, understands where his help is going to be. It's going to be vertical and slightly to the outside. So he's going to maintain an inside leverage to keep his receiver from being able to attack the middle of the field. Over here, Keller Witherspoon is maintaining an outside leverage again, funneling towards a little bit more inside safety on this side to help protect there. And so what he ends up doing, he knows he's got over-the-top help, Keller Witherspoon, that is. So once he gets here, he's fine being in a trail position because he's going to take away anything underneath and allow the safety to take anything over the top here. Same with K'Waun Williams here. He's going to allow himself to get into a trail position because he's got safety help over the top. Sherman does not do that. He stays on top of his receiver because he knows he's not going to be getting safety help over the top. So here, this is really good coverage across the board. We have our linebackers are covering their guys really well. We've got bracketed coverage here, and Sherman one-on-one, and he's covering his guy. And so as Rudolph is looking to throw here, he's going to look towards the flood concept side. And here we've just bracketed his receiver, so there's nowhere for him to go there. He's going to turn and try and look. He's going to try and get to the second receiver who's bracketed over here, but by this point, we have pressure coming off the edge. Nick Bosa almost gets a safety, and we tackle him for only 1 yard. So let's look at it from the end zone view, and let's just take a look at Nick Bosa here, who is leading the NFL in pressures and has been everything that we hoped he would be on this play. Again, here he's going to go against the left tackle, and Villanueva here he's going to take a shorter drop. He's going to set for a bull rush because we've already seen him in this game get bull rushed right into the quarterback. And so he's going to sit down and not move his feet, and Bose is just going to use his hand quickness, get his hands off of him as he's trying to stop the bull rush and slip inside. And then he's going to work through the traffic and come after Mason Rudolph. So that's a really good play there by Nick Bosa. His hand fighting is so elite. He just gets him off of him, keeps fighting through the traffic, and forces the quarterback out of the pocket. So this is, again, another example, I've talked about it several times, of good coverage being married with good pass rush equals good things for our defense. We'll keep moving, and we're going to talk here. The last play I'll show in this series is actually the very last defensive play of the game. This was 4th and 12, and I just want to talk a little bit about how we sealed the game. You know, one player that I think we haven't talked a whole lot about this year, he's not getting a lot of attention in the media or anything, is Jaquiski Tartt. And, you know, the guy's just played a really solid year. He's been pretty good this year. He's been good and solid in coverage, and so I wanted to highlight this play because it shows some maturation from him. So on this play, knowing that it's 4th and 12, we're just going to end up playing a cover 4 deep with 3 underneath defenders. So again, the idea here is you don't give up anything deep. We're going to kind of show this press, but Sherman's going to bail out. He's just trying to hide the coverage a little bit. You see, Emmanuel Mosley's he's already bailed out, and so we're staying in pretty deep. And then our underneath defenders are just going to be 3 underneath. Again, the idea is we're forming a line, anything deep. Then we'll talk about what the Steelers are going to do. The Steelers are just going to run a double post concept. Again, if you've seen some of my videos, you'll see, you know, a lot of these things end up coming around. A lot of people will run the same sort of stuff. You know, so there's not a ridiculous amount of different plays, if that makes sense. There's you know, so many passing concepts, and there's some that just tend to be more common than others. On this one, they're kind of also running a variation on a smash or a speedo, kind of thing. What they're trying to do is the comeback here is meant to attract, if this is a cover four, attract the cover four corner on this side so that they can bring the post over the top. It's a long developing play, but they're hoping, if the offensive line ends up holding up long enough, then they'll get that. But being that this is the double post side, the key read is going to be Jaquaski Tart on his quarters. If he runs with this post, then he's going to be able to hit the post on coming from the back side. So this play is really going to be about they're trying to attack Tart on this play, and he's going to just play it really well. So we'll jump back into the film here and watch as the snap goes. As he drops into coverage, he's going to maintain his eyes on Rudolph. Our pass rush does a good enough job to force Rudolph off his spot. He slides a little bit to his left, and what he sees here is he thinks he sees a little bit of an opening. He thinks Tart's going to shift a little bit over, but he never ends up fully committing to that side. He commits a little bit, but he stays disciplined enough to end up getting into the throwing lane. And it's kind of hard to see the ball from this angle, but you see that that's going to be a tight window. If we go fast forward through this play from the end zone view, you're going to see here that Tart really disrupts this play as it drops in right there. That really Tart was in. This is why the receiver held up, because as he turned, he was feeling the presence coming at his peripheral, and he saw that really Tart was the guy that was in better position for this ball over anybody, and he does get a hand on it. I like what he does here because some guys at the end of the game will purposely go for an interception here, but he actually does realize it's 4th and 12. So if you bat the ball down, your offense gets the ball in better position. Now, of course, we're just going to kneel the ball, but I like the situational awareness. It will drive me nuts when I've seen games on when teams are going for 4th down on 4th and 3 in the opponent's 20-yard line or 30-yard line or whatever. They throw a deep 4th down pass and somebody intercepts the ball. Instead of knocking it down, they run it, and their offense is set 30, 40 yards back farther than if they had just knocked the ball down, So I love the situational awareness here, and I love that he doesn't bite really hard on this first post. He trusts that his other defenders are going to be there, and he lets the first post go, and he maintains his discipline. We haven't always had that on our defense, and Jaquaski Tart hasn't always shown that on our defense. So again, I thought he played a really good game against the Steelers, Tart did, and he's kind of flying under the radar and just playing a really solid season. So, I like highlighting some of these guys sometimes that aren't showing up and we're not talking about all the time because he's doing his job and he's doing it very well. Well, thanks for tuning in. Look forward for more content in the coming week, and if you stayed tuned till the end of this video, I'm going to throw a little poll to put in the comment section. What is one player you would like to see a breakdown of their season so far? One player you'd love to see a breakdown of their season so far, and we'll look at tackling 1, 2, or 3 of those next week during the bye week on top of a couple other ideas I have for the bye week. But thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, I love the support. I surely appreciate it. And we will just continue rolling out some film breakdown content for everybody. And go Niners!